Hello my lovelies, and welcome back to another astrology forecast video. I'm changing things up this month. I usually do weekly astrology forecasts for the entire collective, but this month for July I'm deciding, hey, let's do sign by sign forecasts, and I'm gonna do a full video for each sign for the entire month of July, so that way you can know exactly what's gonna happen for your sign. You can look it up for your sun, your moon, and your rising sign, although I do suggest to look up your rising sign first, because in astrology we use rising sign to do predictions and to make predictions. You can use your sun and your moon sign as well, although they aren't as accurate as using your rising sign. If you do not know your rising sign, you can look it up below using the birth chart calculator. You do need to know your exact birth time, so if you do not know it, I do not suggest doing it because the rising sign will be off. But you can still, once again, use these interpretations with your sun sign and your moon sign just to get a better understanding on how this energy may affect you. Now, I do want to leave a little disclaimer, of course, as with any general reading that you'll find on YouTube, every single chart is entirely different. Yes, you can be a Virgo rising or a sun or a moon, but the way that your planets are set up in your chart and the aspects that they're making to each other and the current planets that are currently transiting right now can be different for every single person in every single chart. Therefore, these are general predictions, these are general readings. They are a good way to understand how the energy is working in general and overall, but there could be certain things that are happening in your chart specifically that can affect and color these energies just a little bit differently. So just keep that in mind, and if you are interested in a more personal reading, so that way you can understand how things are affecting you specifically in your chart, you can always book one down below. I do have readings starting from $33, so you can do that once again down below in the link in my bio or description. One last thing I wanted to know, if I look over here, that's because I have my notes over here. There's a lot of energy happening in this month of July. If you want a copy of my notes for your sign, I can email it to you. Just leave a comment down below, let me know you want a copy of the notes, and I'll send you a link so you can put in your email and I'll send you the copy of the notes. Or you can just refer to this video as much as you want and rewatch it as much as you want in the month. It helps me a lot as well too. So let's just get started with the video. So Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising, but specifically Virgo Risings, this month of July is going to be big for you in terms of emphasizing a lot more of your relationships, your friendships, your community, your audience, and your social media. There's going to be a big focus on your 11th house. So this is, once again, your community, your relationships, social media, long-term goals, your future visions. But as we progress further into the month, things are going to start shifting from a more externally focused and friendship, relationship-oriented house into the 12th house, which is a lot more rest, reflection, and introspection. It's also about healing, endings, subconscious dreams, spirituality, and stuff that's just happening behind the scenes. So July can feel like a month where you're very aware of your goals and your community, but you're also being asked to slow down, to retreat, to process some old subconscious things that may be bubbling underneath the surface. So this may not be like the loudest month externally for you guys, but it is a very powerful month internally for you. It can feel like a month where you're realizing what dreams need to be released and what is actually aligned with the person that you're meant to become and who it is that you're becoming as we get closer to Virgo season. So let's start off the month with July 4th. We are having one of the biggest aspects, and by the time that you see this video, it will have most likely already happened, but I think it's good to set up the context for the energy of this month, because this is a big energy that's happening right on July 4th. We're having Mars conjunct Uranus in the sign of Gemini, and this is happening in your 10th house. The 10th house has to do with your career, your public image, your reputation, your authority, your visibility, and your life direction. This transit could have brought sudden changes, disruptions, or realizations around your career, your public path, your role in society on a public sense. For some Virgo risings, this could have manifested as the sudden urge to change career paths entirely, because Uranus does bring like sudden disruptions and sudden changes. You may have started to feel restless with the responsibilities, your duties, things that have been placed upon you in a professional setting, your bosses even, or even just the way that you're showing up and the way that you're being seen and perceived. It could just feel like a lot, and it's almost like this explosive energy of like, ugh, get me out of here type of deal. Could have also been maybe some unexpected news that shows up in work, in your professional setting, that kind of like rocks your world a little bit or shifts things up. Mars and Uranus together can definitely bring breakthroughs, but it could also bring some impatience, some conflict, or even the desire to break free from structures. Something about your career, something about your public visibility, the way that you're being seen, something about this is asking for change and is asking you to have a little bit more freedom. And if you don't have that freedom, it can feel a little bit like, ooh, like explosive. As we move on into July, on July 6th, we're having the Sun in Cancer squaring Saturn in Aries, and this is affecting your 11th house and your 8th house. This is bringing a more serious tone when it comes to your friendships, your communities, shared resources, intimacy, vulnerability, trust, debts, taxes, investments, and emotional entanglements. You may start realizing that certain social dynamics come with an energetic cost to them. Maybe a friendship, group, collaboration, or future goal requires more emotional honesty and better boundaries. Saturn in the 8th house can definitely bring up some financial pressures or even some heavier emotions when it comes to shared money or dependence with other people and resources. With the Sun in your 11th house, you may start asking yourself, who is actually safe to build with? Who actually supports my future and my goals and my visions? And who is draining me? On July 7th, we're having Neptune stationing retrograde in Aries. So this is going to be the second planet to be retrograde in the month of July. This is happening in your 8th house, once again, bringing up these themes of shared resources, of intimacy, of trust, of emotional bonds, energetic attachments. Neptune in the 8th can sometimes like blur boundaries, and so you may have been idealizing someone or avoiding a certain financial reality or not really seeing the full emotional truth of a situation. As Neptune stations retrograde, the fog begins to lift and you're starting to see things clearly. I do prefer Neptune retrogrades over any other planetary retrograde because when Neptune is direct, things get a little bit hazy, confusing, foggy. We have our rose-colored glasses on. When Neptune goes retrograde, we finally take the rose-colored glasses off and we're able to see things for what they truly are. And yes, it can be a little jarring seeing the reality of what it is that we've been going through and a little bit destabilizing as well, but it helps ground us in reality and is able, from that point on, we are able to make choices and decisions from this more grounded perception. So this Neptune retrograde is definitely going to start revealing to you where is it that maybe you need clearer boundaries when it comes to your energy, your money, your body, and your resources. As we move on July 9th, we're having Venus moving into the sign of Virgo. So Venus is entering your sign. This is beautiful when it comes to love and relationships, money and beauty as well. So if you've been planning on doing any type of beauty ritual or even just like changing up your look, now is the perfect time once Venus moves into Virgo on July 9th. So this can definitely have you feeling more magnetic, more attractive, more grounded and connected in who it is that you are in your body. And it can also bring more ease in relationships because it just helps attract more harmonious relationships to you. Since Virgo placements and just Venus and Virgo in general can sometimes be self-critical, I would say use this time as a way to remind yourself that you don't always have to fix yourself in order to be lovable. Now, as we continue to move on July 12th, we're having the Sun conjunct Mercury retrograde in Cancer. So this is the Mercury Cazimi point happening on July 12th. This is happening in your 11th house. So this is bringing an important realization around your friendships, your networks, your groups, your communities, your social media, collaborations, long-term goals. Because Mercury is having this moment of clarity as it's meeting with the Sun and it is your chart ruler, Mercury retrogrades can definitely feel a little bit more personal to you compared to other signs, like anyone else except for Geminis, because Geminis are also ruled by Mercury. But this could be a time where maybe you could reconnect with someone from the past, or you revisit an old dream, you can reconsider a collaboration with somebody, or you realize something about the audience or the community that you're trying to build or you're trying to reach. This is a good moment to start reflecting on whether your goals and your visions for the future actually align with the version of you that exists now and the version that you're trying to build up into as we once again move on into your season as we get into closer to August. Then on July 14th, we're having the new moon in the sign of Cancer, once again activating your 11th house. It's going to be a huge focus on your social groups, your friendships, your networks, your social media, all of the things that I've just been talking about. Huge focus on this. New moons, once again, bring new beginnings, new intentions. So you could be setting new intentions for the type of people that you want to attract. What kind of people do I want surrounding me? What kind of future do I want to grow into? These are all questions that you could be asking yourself now. Because Mercury is still retrograde in your 11th house, this new beginning could definitely come through a more self-reflective period and introspective period of like reconnection and like revision, just going over things. It may not necessarily be the time to put actions into play because Mercury is, once again, still retrograde. And once Mercury goes direct, then you're going to start feeling like, okay, now it's time to actually move forward and put forth the steps to attract and to focus on attracting these new audiences, these people around me, these friendship groups, these networks and stuff like that. On July 15th through the 18th, we're having Uranus in Gemini making supportive aspects to Neptune in Aries and Pluto in Aquarius. So this is activating your 10th house, your 8th house, and your 6th house. This is very powerful for work, career, health, routines, healing, and transformation. There may be some unexpected insight that comes in when it comes to these themes. How your career path is maybe affecting your nervous system, how your daily habits are maybe not in alignment, or how your emotional health is maybe in conflict with this new path that you're trying to work on. You may get a breakthrough around work-life balance. Your body, your responsibilities, how is it that you're showing up in your work? This can definitely be a period for Virgo risings where you start to realize that your career needs to be a little bit more aligned with your mental, your physical, and your emotional well-being. Then, as we move on into the second half of the month, the Leo energy starts to become a little bit more prominent. And this is now moving the energy a little bit closer to your 12th house. So when Jupiter in Leo trines Neptune in Aries and opposes Pluto in Aquarius on July 20th, this is activating your 12th house, your 8th house, and your 6th house. This is very deep, this is very private, this is introspective, but also very healing. Jupiter moving into your 12th house, it's recently moved into Leo, activating your 12th house, can bring a lot of spiritual protection, spiritual healing, spiritual expansion, blessings, closure, divine timing, and support behind the scenes. Because Pluto is opposing this Jupiter in your 6th house, there may be some intensity around work, around your health, around your routines, or even burnout and obligations and responsibilities that you have. These are starting to come up, and it's coming up so that you can heal them. Jupiter in the 12th is asking you to rest and surrender, and Pluto in the 6th is asking you to transform the systems that are leading to burnout and maybe aren't sustainable anymore. The trine that Jupiter is making to Neptune in your 8th house can also bring some emotional healing, some healing in terms of forgiveness, spiritual release, deeper awareness around fear, intimacy, or vulnerability in your relationships. This can be a very cathartic period, but not in a super loud and expressive way. A lot of this stuff is happening internally and underneath the surface. So definitely keep that in mind. You're being called a little bit more to like seclusive, reclusive types of vibes. You're not sure why. Is it, you started off the beginning of the month so focused on friendship groups and like networking and all these things, and now all of a sudden the energy kind of starts shifting and you're like, ooh, I kind of need to take some time to myself because all of these different things are starting to get activated. I'm starting to feel burnt out. I'm starting to feel like it's too much, right? And it's calling for that time to regroup. As we move on July 21st, Jupiter in Leo is sextiling Uranus in Gemini. This is another very positive aspect, and it's connecting once again your 12th house and your 10th house. So this can be a hidden career opportunity that shows up, a breakthrough that happens that's behind the scenes, or sudden clarity about your life direction. Something that happens on a very like internal way. It doesn't have to be super loud and in your face and boisterous. Something may be developing privately before it becomes public. You may also start realizing that by stepping back, by resting, by letting things go and surrendering and releasing control, you're allowing and opening the door for more professional freedom and for more opportunities to come your way. This is not a transit that's like force your way forward and keep pushing It's saying that inspiration may come through periods of rest and reflection and introspecting and not trying to control every single outcome. As we continue to move on July 22nd, this is when the sun finally enters the sign of Leo. So once again, bringing even more emphasis on this 12th house area of your chart. And this is beginning a season of more rest, more reflection, more spiritual clearing, and preparation before your season comes, Virgo season in August. So for Virgo risings especially, Leo season is going to be the final chapter before your personal new year. This is definitely a time to slow down, tie up some loose ends, listen to your dreams, write them down, do a dream journal, protect your energy, and release what you no longer want to carry into this next birthday season for you. If you feel more tired, more sensitive, more introspective, honor that. This isn't a problem. Like, just take the time and the energy to reflect and realize that it's just the way the energy is moving right now. Don't beat yourself up about it. As we continue to move on July 26th, Saturn stations retrograde in the sign of Aries, and the nodes shift into Aquarius and into Leo. This is a major turning point. We just recently had the South Node transiting through your sign in Virgo. It's finally out of your sign. It's been there for a year and a half. This has been a lot of shedding and letting things go in terms of your identity and how you identify, how you show up into the world, your body image, your confidence, a lot of issues that maybe you've been holding on to in terms of those areas of your life. It's finally done. Those lessons are now clearing out. The North Node being in your 7th house in Pisces was bringing in some lessons and opportunities to learn about relationships and how is it that maybe you had been sacrificing yourself in order to appease relationships. But now things are shifting. Now things are moving to a different area of your chart. The nodes shifting into Aquarius and Leo. This is moving into your 6th and your 12th house. Once again, we're activating that 6th and 12th house axis. This is beginning a bigger karmic story when it comes to your health, your work, your routines, your relationship to rest and recovery, your mental health, spiritual release, periods of isolation, and using these periods of isolation, self-reflection, and spiritual attunement as a form of growth. The North Node in the 6th house is pulling you towards more healthier systems, towards more balanced systems, better routines, nervous system regulation, and more intentional daily habits that support you on this new path of growth. With Saturn stationing retrograde in your 8th house on this same day, it's asking you to review your shared resources, your debts, your emotional entanglements with other people, your deep hidden feelings around trust, around intimacy, grief, vulnerability, and energetic boundaries. Where are places that you may have been avoiding the deep emotional work? And Saturn retrograde is now bringing those themes up back for review. On July 27th, the Sun in Leo is going to oppose Pluto in Aquarius. And this is activating, once again, the 12th and the 6th house. Big major themes for you guys. So something hidden, because Pluto is usually rules things that are hidden and underneath the surface. Something hidden may come to light around your body, around your schedule, around your emotional state, your routines. What is it that you have going on that is not in alignment? This theme, I keep repeating myself because it's just the continuing theme that keeps popping up for you guys, especially towards the end of the month. Where is it that you've been pushing yourself through exhaustion past the point of where you know you feel okay and ignoring your own needs? Where is it that you have been over-functioning and over-performing and picking up the slack for other people where you shouldn't have? The key for these transits is to listen to your body and treat rest as a form of recovery, not as a form of weakness. And finally, the last major aspect for this month on July 29th is going to be a huge day because we're having the Sun conjunct Jupiter in Leo once again, highlighting this 12th house of Leo for you guys. We're also going to have the full moon in Aquarius in your 6th house. So the Sun-Jupiter conjunction in your 12th house can bring some hidden blessing because once again, the 12th house is about things that are hidden, they're underneath their surface, they're subconscious. It's not external blessings. It's more of an internal spiritual insight, healing, spiritual healing type of understanding that comes to you, or even a dream that pops up. You're going to have this deeper sense of protection, like you were being protected, like you were being watched behind the scenes by your spirit guides, by your ancestors, things of that sort. You may not see the full results yet, you may not see the external results yet, but something is brewing underneath the surface and you feel it with this energy. This can definitely be a moment of forgiveness, of closure, of surrender, and of deep inner healing. And at the same time, with this full moon in Aquarius lighting up your 6th house of work and routines and daily habits, this can bring a culmination around your schedule, because the full moon is about like endings and like finally like cutting things off that no longer serve us. So this is like an ending possibly that comes up in terms of your job, your daily routines, your wellness, all of these things that you have been going over, the energies that have been popping up over and over for the last few days. This full moon is finally bringing it to a head and allowing you the opportunity to make decisions when it comes to these areas of your life, something that is in alignment with your energy levels, with your health, something that feels more in alignment with who you are and what is good for you, a work-life balance. So that is all the major energies for the month of July for Virgos and Virgo risings. Overall, the energy in the beginning of the month, we start off with a lot of focus on your relationships, on your career path, on even like a bit of your finances and your resources. But as we move on into the end of the month, that starts shifting and that starts changing, and you start valuing more introspective time. You start getting more insights and more downloads on healings that need to come up, on things that have been hidden underneath the surface. You start respecting your rest. You start respecting work-life balance. You start understanding, or at least trying to come up with ideas on how is it that we are going to continue to push forward with the way things currently are, or how is it that things need to be restructured in order to have a balanced nervous system, a balanced emotional system, physical, body, all of it needs to come into reevaluation so that you can act and work from a place of alignment. And all of this is preparing you so that when your season does come along in August, you can actually approach it from a place that is more grounded, and you've actually dealt with all of the gunk that's been underneath the surface. Because if your foundation and your stability, if your daily habits aren't in alignment, they aren't really working for you, and you keep pushing, you're building on top of a foundation that wasn't meant to last. You're building on top of a foundation that was shaky to begin with. So definitely use the month of July to reconnect with yourself, reconnect with your guides, your ancestors, your spirit team, because there's going to be a lot of time for reflection, introspection. Don't feel bad for resting. Don't feel bad for taking some time for yourself. This is the energy of the times for now, especially with Mercury starting off retrograde in the beginning of the month. You can definitely feel a little bit more low energy than usual. You can feel a lot more introspective than usual. Don't beat yourself up about it, and instead work with the energy and work through the emotions and the feelings that come up, so that way you can feel lighter and more clear once your season actually rolls along in August. So that is all for Virgos and Virgo risings for the month of July. I hope you guys enjoyed this reading. I'll see you guys in the next video.